Welcome back to Watching Film and Varnadore Films. I am Seth Varnadore, covering Florida Gator football here on YouTube. And we just all watched Florida lose unexpectedly to South Florida on Saturday, 18-16, in a game you were 17.5-point favorite. Not great. As Bud Davis put it, friend of the show, it was Billy Ball at its billiest. I think it was a good way to put it. It was really all of kind of the worst parts of the Napier era so far, all rolled up into one game. Untimely penalties, some oddly timed play calls, undisciplined play at times, weird penalties, not having enough guys on the field or having too many, some backbreaking decisions at the wrong time, weird game management stuff. Kind of all the bad stuff kind of rolled into one weekend. So it's going to be an interesting watch. I thought I'd look at the Florida offense because I think that's the bigger story from the game, obviously. DJ Lagway still does not look super sharp. I think he's still hurt, possibly. Reckless speculation. I don't know if he's 100% healthy because there's some odd things in terms of like play calls that you don't call that if your guy's healthy, in my opinion. But let's get to the film without much further ado here. So we'll just start on the first play of the game. Big thanks to Planet Gator, I believe, on YouTube for uploading a condensed game so I can kind of go through every play instead of the highlights of it. So Florida starts running the football. This is something they've tagged on a lot of runs here outside is they tag some throw elements on the play outside. But here, open the game. One little zone here. Good run by Jaden Ball. Seemed like he ended up with 18 carries, which outpaced, I think Jacoby Jackson was second with 6, but feels like he could have gotten more. I thought this was a really nice wrinkle. So I know we don't want to give, the Florida faithful does not want to give Billy Napier any credit after yesterday, which I think he's earned a lot of blame, right? It was not a great game, really poorly managed. I think even in terms of wanting to hold the ball so much, I understand you're playing a tempo team, but you just make your margins so thin when you eliminate possessions like that. In a game where you're the more talented team, you're a 17.5-point favorite, you probably don't need to eliminate as many possessions because the better team will win out over more. Now, if you're playing Tennessee and it's tightly contested, then maybe you want to hold the ball a little bit more. But I thought that was odd. But I thought the first drive was really well called and well scripted. So USF is really aggressive, especially linebackers flow hard to the football. I'm sure a ton of people just turned it off right when I said that. But so you put in a counter play. You've run a little bit of counter, but this is pretty well done here. So you're going to pull the guard here, looking to kick. I think USF tries to spill it, so he gets logged. And then your second puller is going to wrap. So there you get the log. Here's your second puller. Then you have the tight end here up top, kind of arcing out here, right? So we're down, down, down. Pull the kick. He ends up going inside, so you log him. Wrap for that backer. So good change-up. Now, one thing that USF did that I imagine you'll see a ton of teams do if you start to go to more of this gap stuff is they just they read pullers. Now, you still formationally did a good job with it, especially having the backfield action attack downhill first. Kind of hold this backer here for a second and then kind of bounce out to it. Makes him a little late. And Ball started the game really well, right? Then a nice easy throw here on the perimeter. This was another interesting one. You had kind of a buck sweep look here. Really, I guess a pin pull look maybe better, but you're going to pull the tackle, and then you're going to pull the center, it looks like here in this look. And the quarterback's got a decision. He can give this here, which I think if he gives it, you probably have a really big play too. Or you can look at my numbers out here, throw the screen. So right here, I don't include, even though it's 3/3, I wouldn't include a guy this far off the ball in the count, right? So it's really 2/3, right? I got 1-2. I got 2 blockers. I'm sorry, 2 blockers, and then the third guy here is catching the football, right? So I got 2 for 2. If we block this well, I should have a good play. Good block there by Eugene Wilson. Good block there by Livingston. Pick up 10 yards on 1st and 10. So there you go. Easy throws, get you in the game a little bit. Motion out, try to get a coverage confirmation here. So you go tight end leak here, which I think is interesting. Post over the top. After he motions out, he's kind of going to be out. I don't know if he's out and up. It's hard to see off the screen. But you're going to get the tight end back across. Right? You see this a ton in the NFL. And then he's kind of leak up the sideline. Lincoln Riley loves to run this as well. He'll run it with different personnel. But sometimes it'll be like an H-back tight end. But really hard play action. Selling like he's running flat, and then he just turns up in this vacated space from the post. And then you have the check down here. So if this guy really hugged that too hard, you could drop it down. But you've got the space right now if you make a good throw. And you're just a little long here, right? Really super wide base there, stepping up. Not really all 10. Try to be so rotational now. When you see guys' legs kind of feet pop up off the ground, it seems odd. But just sky it. A better ball. Probably don't score, but you get a nice big play there on 1st and 10. So you come back 2nd and 10 here. Give the run, and ball's just running like a madman early. So, this is probably a game you wouldn't have been mad if you look up after the game and ball's got 25 carries. Good movement here up front. He hits it, and then he runs through arm tackles. He's a bad dude. Needs to get him as many touches as possible, right? 1st and 10. Come back. This is basically just split zone. They did this a few times where he'd jab inside and then come back out, and then they're coming all the way across. And so you may consider him the end man on the line of scrimmage, but they're really going to split zone to him. So the split flow. So as he squeezes, now he kind of wrong shoulders it. Back makes a nice cut here. And again, he was on early. But he may have had a seam here as well if he stays in it, right? So, you got to trust your back's eyes. They're pretty good. But I may also have a seam right there if I stay up in the front side of the play. I don't think he's supposed to cut all the way back there, right? Regardless, 7 yards, 2nd and 3. A lot of things you could do here. This doesn't need to be one of them. So right here, you're going to run Hoss down here. So you're going to run, and this is just a staple play for them. You saw them run it last week. And because they'll run a lot of hitch curl here. So right here, Hoss, outside guy's going to run a hitch. He's just off screen. But if you've seen, you can kind of see his helmet flicker at the end, right? This corner is going to try to overlap onto the seam here, right? If there was 2 verticals, he'd kind of try to play in between and be able to play both, right? But he's going to end up overlapping on the seam. You also get this apex defender dropping underneath the seam. This should be an easy, right? When we teach guys to throw Hoss, a lot of times we look, especially if we know we're going to get single high coverage like that, right? We're thinking He's got a vertical to the field here, it looks like. We want to throw hitch if hitch is there. And then if the apex really expands to take away hitch, we want to rip the seam, right? So right here, I'm eyeing down this seam, and you can kind of see right here. It's a little difficult, but if you look right there, there's the hitch. There's the corner that could cover the hitch. So you're trying to make a hero throw over somebody here, in front of somebody there, and it has to be thrown with pace because of how close this is, where you could just rip it out here to this wide open dude, pick up at least 10. But with him screaming down so hard, you may get a 15, 20-yard gain out of just throwing a simple 5-yard hitch, right? So a little greedy there. Get you in 3rd and 3 here. Now, it's hard to tell exactly. USF did a pretty decent job of cutting crossers, so he might not feel like he has this here to be able to throw it into this window there. This one's probably dead. He's waiting for that one coming back. You got this one here where now he may be cutting it really hard. Maybe that's what he sees. And that's all possible. But if he's not cutting that one, right, if the safety's kind of playing back, there's a hole for me to throw this. And then if I don't like that, I can drop it here for the first down, right? Now, good run to end up picking up the first down. But we also probably shouldn't try to take as many hits. But, again, it's hard to tell on this without the all 22 of it. If the safety's cutting this hard, it makes it a little bit tougher, right? Everything's a little tougher if you're only sending 3 guys out in the route. So you got to have hard play action. Get those guys upfield, which I thought all their boot stuff was really good and should have been. You could have kind of – that's what – one of the funny things about this game is some of the staples that, the plays that everyone's like, we run these plays all the time. Billy runs these plays all the time. I thought they ran less of those than normal, and those would have been helpful in some of the zone looks USF gave you. So it was a bizarrely called game here. So anyways, 1st and 10, right? Carrying this all the way across, somewhat of a man indicator. So good decision. You've got a run call on here. Right, so you've got some type of split zone look on here, but you like the matchup here. Good kind of rub, makes this guy go over the top. Good timing on the throw. Good placement. Right, you pick up an easy 7 yards there. Coincidentally, you'll run a similar concept later on 3rd and 7 and not convert because the throw's a little bit later. The rub's not as clean. And the ball's not as well thrown. So just interesting note for later. So 2nd and 3. They did a couple of these where we showed here coming all the way back, the motion. You're hoping the motion holds the backers, right? This jet motion holds the backers a little bit, and you can get vertical. They try to do this on a key 3rd down later. They get no play from the motion, and then I think they just whiff a block, and it gets blown up, right? But here, the motion coupled with this kind of almost – it almost looks like a wind back, but it's not quite a wind back. Just a different way to hand the football off there. This was a well-designed play right here. So like I said, the first drive, I thought you had some pretty good stuff. You're going to run a nice rub here, right? So I think they're anticipating that this is a man coverage look or some type of man coverage look to this bunch. Or at least you're getting 3 over 3, right? So what are you going to do? I'm going to go post. I'm going to go vertical here, right? So the post is going to clear this guy out, right? Because he's got to take the vertical. I'm going to go here and sit, and then I'm going to run the wheel here. He's got to fight through this. He can get picked. If he leaves, you've got the post, right? So he's kind of held by the post a little bit in this route here. So what pretty good design right here. Good job by the tackle getting out of this wide rusher. So right here, look, you get the pick right there. He's got to play that. He's got to get over the top. Well, that pick just slows him down enough. You get leverage. And you get a good ball, you just got to catch it. The one thing that worries me a little bit, maybe not worries, but I think it's a really good sign of the sign of rust is watch the feet back here. Like this isn't a dirty pocket, really. I've got time to set my feet and throw it. Now this is a really good throw, but I don't need to be fading away from this, right? Like it's a good throw. It's a catchable throw, but you're also making a tight end turn over his outside shoulder, which you should be catching this football. But, if I lay it a little bit more inside, probably an easier catch, right? Backs and running backs, try to make it as easy on them as possible. I'm sorry, backs and tight ends, right? Yeah, backs and running backs and tight ends. Try to make it as easy on them as possible. This still should have been caught. But, I got a pocket here. Why am I fading away? Is it just because I'm not used to having bodies at my legs because it's been a while? Maybe. Then 2nd and 15 here. They just cannot quite get the screens. They're never clean. They're never really clean for some reason. My question here, right? You're getting a blitzer off the edge right at this moment. This looks like a great play call. You've got 2 for 2. My question is, what is the rule for the receiver? Right? Because then you end up getting the safety screaming down. So is his rule corner or is his rule most dangerous? Because if it's most dangerous, and you can kind of see him here, I think this is Trey Wilson. Watch him kind of here as he goes through. He kind of runs to the corner, and then he hesitates here for a second, and then he goes back to the corner, right? And now you're asking your tackle to win a race against a safety, which is tough, right? Now let's say he says this is most dangerous. He goes here, and now my tackle can get out, and at least I've got a little bit of a chance, right? Let's say I stalemate this here. The corner now starts to trigger, and my tackle's here. Well, now I can at least catch this and have a chance to make a play. Which if I do that, I think if I can just catch it, I've got enough space and enough wiggle that I might be able to make a play without this tackle making a block. But, right, most dangerous guy gets left. So that's kind of the question. Does the outside receiver have the corner, or does he have most dangerous? Because most dangerous would not be the corner, right? I'd leave the corner unblocked, block him, let him go get the corner. He's going for number 3. You're in good shape. How it played out didn't play out well, right? And that just seems to be every time they run a screen. There's one later that's pretty well done. It's still not perfectly clean. Last week they had a pretty good one to Vernell Brown. Still not perfectly clean. All right, so this is a play call here that this would make me think. All right, this makes me think one of two things. Either DJ Lagway is still hurt, or they're not really trusting him quite yet. Because this is a 3rd and 15. I thought maybe this is some kind of swing where you got the lead swing here, but you've got a vertical here. It doesn't look like it looks like it's more of a runoff. You've got a slant here, and you've got kind of I'm leading. It looks like I'm leading on a swing screen. I've motioned out. I'm a leader on the swing screen, and I've got a swing here to Jaden Ball, which not a terrible idea, right? Now, I'm just throwing a slant on 3rd and 15. So this just seems like it's something designed to get the ball out of my hands really quick. And it has no chance of converting, really. So am I, protecting my quarterback by getting the ball out of his hands really fast? And if I am, is it because he's hurt, or is it because I don't quite trust him to drop back and throw, right? Drop back and read through his progressions here. I don't know. But it's just I thought this was a really odd call for 3rd and 15. If you have a guy you really feel like can get through his reads, make the decisions. Because that had very little chance of conversion, I thought. So this is another thing. I thought you should have seen a ton more of this, right? USF really aggressive. Their linebackers flow really hard. And then they played, right? If they weren't playing man, they were playing way over the top. You see the safety here. They're playing way over the top. So these intermediate areas that Florida's passing game is really good typically at attacking were open quite a bit, right? Look at the flow you get downhill from the linebackers. There's a ton of intermediate areas to attack. They did it a couple different ways. This is one they seemed to really enjoy was post, wheel, flat, and some type of over, right? They called this 3 or 4 times in the game, but I think they could have called it more, really. Right? Hit the over. Nice pickup on 1st down. Good drive starter. Motion across here. Right? I got free access. So this is a run play, free access on the backside. Now, this is the same thing he does later in the game. And you've got to know situation, right? 14 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second quarter. Rip this thing all day. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. And I need to force the other team to take their timeouts. Maybe hand that one off. But good read, good throw. 2nd and 4. Another look at kind of some gap scheme here. So you end up pulling the guard and the tackle. So again, another kind of counter scheme, right? USF flows. You get squeezes inside, wrong shoulders it. You got your second puller coming around. And then pretty good job caving this thing down on the front side of it too, right? Good pull. Get your back one-on-one, makes a move. 2nd and 4, you pick up 7 or 8 on the ground. Good call. Then you go jet sweep. By alignment, this looks pretty good. You're going to have there. All right, so by alignment, this is what you got. Here, here. Extra body getting out there. Extra body getting out there. So right now, if these 2 blocks are good, you've got a real shot, right? He comes downhill, one of the 2. He gets over the top. You've got another guy for him, right? You've got 2 blockers there for this. You should feel pretty good. You catch him blitzing off the backside, which I don't know if this was an auto call. Some teams do this. When you go jet sweep, auto blitz off the backside edge, right? They caught Florida once when they went Wildcat with this. Unfortunately, right? Right. Let's watch the 2 key blocks here. See if Florida gets these 2 key blocks. Nope. Now you got to waste a blocker that could have got to the corner. If I had that pin right there, get you the edge. Nope, got to cut it up. And now a defensive lineman's able to run it. Since I had to cut it back, this lineman's able to get flat down the line. I don't get him reach either and make a play on it because I've been forced to cut the ball back in because the USF nickel beat me to my spot, right? So poor blocking on the perimeter. So, I think the problems are, right, when it's year 4, play call, and then you kind of watch this game. Play calling somewhat bizarre at times, right? And that's been the issue. The conceptual, and my take has always been conceptually, like concept to concept. The offense runs a lot of good concepts. The play calling has always been kind of the sequencing of those concepts has always been kind of the issue, right? You see people say no feel, kind of no flow, right? If you're a methodical planner, right, your game card doesn't say, okay, now this is when you be aggressive or this is when you need to, run. That's kind of, you got to just call out of games and that you got to get the feel, right? So, right. So your issues are in a game like this, bizarre play calling. Okay, well then that's on the play caller, right? Obviously, he's the one calling plays. And then when you have plays called that are good calls and they're not executed, well, it's year 4. These are your players. Like, so there's really nowhere to hide, right? It's if it's a problem of conceptual calls, that's on you. If it's a problem of executed calls, these are all your dudes. They got to execute, right? So I thought this was well done, right? You see, we talked about USF following pullers. So you're going to do a kind of a fake pull, make it look like the counter you've been running. And then he's going to peel back for the reverse. Then you also get your center kind of working back here. So you're going to get 2 out here for this reverse. So I thought up to here, like up to this point, this play, I was like, okay, cool. I think maybe you kind of like him to just hit that lane 100 miles an hour, but whatever. He kind of sees this. He sees the color there, breaks it outside. Good athletic move. Pick up 9 or 10 on 2nd and 9. Great. So now you go 1st and 10, and this is where it gets weird. So, what's the idea here is the question. I'm all for a trick play, but what are we attacking with this trick play? Because it's really going to be a post. And then if I handed this and I ran a wheel kind of behind it, okay, that makes sense to me, right? Just another way to kind of attack that, clear it out with the post, run a wheel, see if you can get Eugene Wilson matched up on a linebacker, which you do, right? But kind of watch what Eugene Wilson runs here, right? So I'm thinking if it's a wheel, he'll turn up and you've got a shot, right? He's running almost like a deep out route or something. Watch where he ends up when Lagway kind of pulls his ball down. And maybe it's a scramble drill and he just cuts his route off. But, and then it's hard to see. Does this guy get back in the play? I don't know. So this one was bizarre because I just don't understand. Is there not a kill for that play if you see the wrong coverage? And then don't take a sack, throw it out of bounds. But here's Eugene Wilson. So it wasn't a wheel, or at least maybe he tried to scramble drill it, but that one does not make a ton of sense to me. And it's you're having some success moving the football. So it's kind of a weird timing. Still, you go 2nd and 11, you get a penalty. You're 2nd and 6, so it doesn't totally kill you. And then again, they just cannot, for whatever reason, execute a screen. This is a well called play. You got 1 for here, 1 for here, 1 for here. Now maybe he makes a great play and he's really athletic, so maybe he sees it. But you got a chance, right? If you get this block, he's going to get in the funnel here, and you got one for him, and a guy that's really fast catching this ball on the run. Unfortunately, again, maybe this nickel for USF was unblockable, because that's 2 on this drive that he's beating you. Where if you get him blocked, right, let's imagine he's not there and I'm catching this thing full speed. There's my funnel. I'm really fast. Probably a good play for the Gators. But again, not executed. So 3rd and 4. Go to Old Faithful here. A little 4-man spacing with slant on the backside. They run this later on 3rd and 4. And this is kind of one of the things where I think there is a element of predictability is on certain situational play calling. So you're going to here, there, 40 side, and then if they overload it, you got a man beater backside, right? So I got a zone beater and a man beater, conceptually fine. Good ball, good timing, good conversion. They run the same thing later and convert as well. But this is one where Bud and I talked about on the last episode of Gators Game Day, just how play calling and practice time is structured. And it seems like you could spend more times on 3rd down stuff. And maybe you get to more, but it's structured in a way where it's very by how many times you call a situation in the game. That's kind of how much we're going to practice it, which makes sense. But it's also like these are more high leverage situations. So maybe you should practice the ones that are more high leverage a little bit more than even they show up on the game sheet. So go counter again here. I'm not sure. I think this is a bust. I don't think this is part of the play. But counter. Good changeup. They haven't run this a ton, so good changeup, I thought. Good cut. This holding call was kind of weak. They're both kind of hugging each other here. But, hey, don't put you can't, if a ref sees your arm around a guy, they're going to call holding, right? I don't think it was needed. Once you got the shock here, it's over. Don't need to grab him. You get the hold. There's a touchdown. Wipes it off the board. So then you go, and this is another one. If you told me, okay, DJ is hurt still, or they're trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt, because maybe there's some stuff you saw on tape from USF. You're like, I like quarterback run. Okay, well then we don't want to run DJ. Let's run the Wildcat. Now, this is where we talked about earlier, the jet motion. Sometimes teams will auto blitz off of it. USF may have had that on. Jet motion, you're getting the blitz. I don't really have time, right? Going power read. If he widens, I pull up in there, right? My double's getting back to here. Well, yeah, 1st and 20. Kind of a bizarre time to pull it out. But, hey, maybe it was on the sheet. We liked it in the pregame. 2nd and 19 here. Trying to get into a more 3rd and manageable. You get kind of bailed out here. Corner for USF comes up and makes a great play. You get bailed out here a little bit by hands to the face penalty. So 1st down. So now you're 1st and 10. Good call. Should have called this more. The fact this is called pass interference is like, to me, you don't understand football if this is a pass interference call to you. Like, this is he's obviously trying to run a corner out. The USF corner is trying to wall him off from running that corner out and just kind of keep him inside, and they both got hands on each other. He's not blocking him. So, bizarre call. So that wipes the touchdown off the board. So now you're 1st and 25. This is one, why not throw the screen here? So you've got screen up down here. He's going to be there. I think he's going to end up getting to here. You have numbers to it. Then you have double slant up top. So you kind of have your choice here. Why not throw the screen? He decides he's going to take off. Now, he could have also probably worked here, slant to the outside slant, and had something as well. I'm just not – I felt like he was quick to take off, right? He could have easily, I think, worked here to here if he wanted to. But he felt quick to take off a little bit in this game, just a little unsure of himself. And that, I mean, that's not surprising if, like, you missed as much practice as he did, right? You missed a whole spring. You missed basically all of camp. You probably missed a lot of the summer as well. Good job right here finding kind of this – I don't know if this is a choice or some type of juke route, but good job finding this thing late, dropping it down, getting it to – I thought he could have done this a couple more times, just kind of drop it down to one of your guys in a play, let him make a play. You know, another thing watching this game back, USF super handsy. They're aggressive. They're physical. Super handsy on the back end. Florida didn't really make the refs throw the flag at all. So there was some holding, but it's one of those things we're going to dare you to call it and dare you to show it. So, all right, so pretty good man indicators here, right? I've got eyes on receivers. I don't have eyes on quarterback, right? So pretty good man indicator here. So you're going to get a post here. Crosser with motion gives him a free release across the field. Another crosser here, and then a wheel here. So to me, if I know it's man coverage, I'm kind of hunting matchups a little bit. Now also kind of looking here. So you got a safety in the middle of the field. You could take a chance here if you wanted to on what you may think is your best receiver, one-on-one, with a lot of room to run. Or if I don't like that one, right, and this guy's got to run through this kind of mesh, well, this dude runs like a 10-300 meters allegedly, right? So drop it on him, let him run. I throw the one where I don't think I have kind of really the athletic advantage here. And then, right, if I'm throwing to a guy that's 6'7" or 6'6", let's give him a chance to make a play on the ball. I've got a clean pocket. You know, my feet are kind of in and up sideways. And I'm fading away from the throw with a really clean pocket here. So I don't know, man. It's just rusty stuff. Just, you know, I'm not super clean, not super buttoned up on some of these things. And just bad throw. Have to settle for a field goal. When, you know, you drop it down to one of these crossers, you might get a holding call because there was, you know, Wilson's getting mugged a little bit coming across. But, hey, if this dude's as fast as everyone says he is, drop it to him and let him run. He might pick it up himself. So, you know, I thought it was, you know, if you like the matchup, I think that's fine. Just give him a catchable football. He's a big, tall dude. Throw it up. Give him a chance. So 1st and 10. You see the pass game on the outside here. Decides to stick with a run. USF does a pretty good job with it. The box is also starting to get a little bit crowded. But your running back's an animal, and he still picks up 4 or 5 on what was a dead play. So here's a really good look at the kind of hitting this intermediate area, right? And behind the linebackers, in front of the corners, right? The safety's deep off the football. The ball's on like the 17 here. The safety's on almost the 37, right? So we're deep off the football here. So I don't think we're getting over the top. So let's work the intermediate areas. So right here, this is good timing too. So this is going to clear this out. And then now I'm really high-lowing him. His posture and everything's leaning here. So I've got to throw the ball in this window. This is a really good throw. Great throw, great timing on it, and then great like pace on the football, right? It can't be you can't lob it It's got to be thrown with some pace down the field. Good job. Excellent read, excellent throw. Right? There's flashes of the old stuff from last year, right? Excellent reads, excellent throws. There's just still kind of knocking off the rust. Play action. This one, I thought initially that maybe he had a chance here, but this was a pretty good job. I would rather see, they come inside here. I think they're trying to set up like I'm running post and then I run corner. This corner does a pretty good job staying outside. Then work the deep crosser here off a hard play action. But again, the safety's off the screen, right? So I don't think I'll probably get over the top of him. But he does a good job of playing high and then pinning down really hard on this. So this is a good decision by DJ here. It looks like a quick decision, but the safety's – you're getting this here, which if that's it by himself, you got a chance to throw it into this space. But the safety off screen is pinning this thing down really hard. And now you kind of wish that you'd almost rather, instead of running him back to the corner, you'd almost rather run him over the top, which is what they do often. And maybe they're trying to change it up here and see if you could catch USF napping. But if he runs the post and the safety drives that, well, now I can rip it over the safety's head, right? Here, you can kind of, if he stays outside in his deep third and you're running right back to him, now the safety can drive on that, almost rather than stick with what is like one of their staples is that post with the deep crosser coming across, right? So interesting, some of the change-ups. Some of them work, like the counter stuff, which they run a little bit, but not like major in, was good stuff. This one, not as much. And then, hey, man, you got to credit USF. They tackled really well on the perimeter. Pick up 2, and that was the right decision, right? Sometimes you got to check it down. They're not all going to be there. If you knew exactly what the other team was going to be running every play, it'd be really easy. All right, 2nd and 8 here. Jet sweep, and this is the guy you got to give the jet sweeps to. He looks different with the ball in his hands. He's got some burst that I don't think anybody else has on the offense. So keep giving him the ball. A combination of burst and kind of wiggle after the catch is elite. Keep giving it to him. 1st and 10. We got a drive going. All right, that arc kick in there. Could cut by the back, work to get outside. Now you lose this block here. If you can maintain that block with this cut, you've got a chance. You're going to lose it. Now, I don't think the run's probably not supposed to cut all the way back out there, so you probably feel like you won. So this is probably a little bit nitpicky, right? I don't think the run's supposed to cut all the way back out, but, still, your back's running really hard. You're in a 2nd and 6. Like if you pick up 4 every time you turn around and hand it off, that's not bad. All right, you jump here. You got a ton of – so this is a pretty good check right here, right? So watch when you jump over, look at the amount of bodies you get to come with you. So this should be a pretty decent play. You think. This is one here I thought, just keep it. And you don't really want to, with really instinctual runners, the guys that are, really good players, you kind of just let him go a little bit, hit your track, and then be a player. I thought he could have just kept outside. He cuts it back, almost gets out of it, ends up getting, another 4 or 5. I thought if he just kind of kept it outside here, hit that patented stiff arm he's been working on, he might have a chance to kind of crease that thing down the sideline there. But still a good run. Good check there, too. I think Lagway might have checked that one, right? The defense kind of, when you shifted, they kind of overloaded that side, work it, run zone back the other way. Good look. 3rd and 2. You get a slant, don't handle it super well. It was interesting to see Florida kind of flip-flopping the line around a little bit. I don't think Damian George is in the game. You got a different guard in the game here. So that's kind of interesting to see. They're still, I guess, looking for that best combination, even though you returned a lot of dudes from last year. Still kind of looking for that combination. And then you're unable to get this here. And this is one you probably wouldn't mind really seeing DJ pull this when he sees that and throwing out there. And just see if your guy can make a play on the perimeter because, all right, we're squeezing down there. Now it's technically 3-over-3, but I could pull that, maybe throw, make a play. But you really lose this in up front. You get a little slant. Don't quite pick it up. USF linebacker Jalen Schuler is a really good player. You see him knife through and make a play right here. But I should be, right, if we're running zone, I should be reaching that gap. He kind of takes it to me, blows me up, play in the backfield, right? And then I just didn't like this decision right here, right? Especially, you know, the scared money don't make money stuff. You know, it's 4th and 2, and you're kind of begging for an offsides call. Right? I'd say line up and run a play, man. You got good stuff. You've got play action throws that are working. You know, line it up and run it. I think you're in good shape if you do. But you settle for the field goal. You know, 13-3 possibly going into the half is a totally different ball game that kind of where you end up 9-6, right? So you had a chance to kind of, if you finish that drive off with the touchdown, you go up 13-3 in the half, getting the football. You know, if you come out, score, it's 20-3, game's over at that point, right? You feel pretty good on defense. Just didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So you come out here. This was a bizarre one right here. So I know that there's some kind of, you know, well, come out, ball's running the football really well. Why not just run the football? That's valid, but they're going to motion in here. They're going to run like a shallow cross type deal. So they're going to have him run the shallow. It's almost like dagger. They're going to run kind of a dagger look with kind of mixing with a shallow cross. So he's going to be the shallow cross guy. He's going to run kind of the through route, and then you're going to have the dig here, right? So all you're thinking, he compresses, right, bumps in with a motion. So now I'm kind of looking here, right? If he stays low, I'll probably have a hole right here as he comes through and gets held by him, right? I'll probably have a hole right here for the dig. Or if he drops back, I should have the throw to the shallow, right? So he blitzes. He replaces. All right, perfect. The guy that I'm thinking is probably playing the shallow blitzes. So in my mind, I'm probably throwing the shallow. And you can see if you have the all-22, nobody covers the shallow, right? So right here, and the dig also comes open as well. So right here, it's 1st and 10, first play of the half, drop it here, let him run, right? Let him run after catch. You also have the dig open behind it if you don't like that. So he kind of thinks about it, then pulls it down. So there's a couple you've got. You know, I don't know if he's trying to make the big play and try to hit, because maybe he sees when they rotate, it becomes almost a middle of the field open look. And so he's thinking maybe I can get this thing through. But really, man, he's there. That should be hitting the shallow all day long. All right, there's nobody off screen here, right? So everybody is like 10 yards back off the ball. There's nobody waiting just off screen right here. There's nobody there. So I just drop it there. I've got a good play. So you go 2nd and 12. Play action here. And this is one I don't know. I don't think this is a bad ball. I think this is a catchable ball. And then here's the other thing on this one. You got one receiver here and one receiver here. The ball is thrown more like I'm throwing to about this distance than this distance. So I don't know. Did the receiver just not get out of his break very well? Because this has got to be thrown with anticipation, right? He's not waiting until he comes out of his break. He's throwing a little bit before. So do I not get out of my break? It's still a catchable football. But do I not get out of my break and get back to the football? That's possibly. So this could be on the receiver. He could be too deep. Either he's too deep or this guy's too short, right? The way the ball's thrown looks like maybe he's too deep. And then I don't get out of my break, and then I don't make the catch. So DJ's got to get helped a little bit too. I think that was the timing that was pretty good. The placement was just fine. You got to help him out a little bit. All right, so right here, I had a coach call this piggybacking, right? If you see somebody with somebody right behind them, right? You see it underneath the fender with somebody right over the top of them. Good indicator that this guy's coming and this guy might replace him, right? That's typically what happens a lot, right? So, all right, so we go through. You also have a hard count. They show it, right? So his demeanor, and that's not always perfect, but his demeanor would say, it looks like he's coming. This guy's piggybacking on him. That's another indicator he might be coming, right? So I can kind of have my eyes here, because it's possible he spins down and I'm running a seam by him, or he spins away. They end up dropping almost like a Tampa 2 look here, and he's dropping deep half. He's going to play the flat here. If my eyes are looking here, I can rip this right here right now for a first down. And if I don't like that, you can't see it off screen, but this guy's playing like a harder flat. So I'm going to end up winning down here too. So I kind of got either one over here. I can rip the seam right now for the easy first down, or maybe if I feel like the safety's playing that, try to rip the outside throw for a big play. But you kind of get stuck on the other side, it looks like, and don't rip either, and you get sacked on what should have been a pretty easy conversion, right? This safety is getting depth. He's out of there. You can see he's turned his back to Hayden Hansen here. He's not making a play on this football if it's thrown on time. So right there, especially with the pressure indicator, thinking, man, I might be able to replace this guy right with the football right now. Should just rip it to him, have a chance at a play there. Doesn't work out. All right, 1st and 10. This one looks like you may have the edge here, just that flash of color makes him cut it back. If you can get that reached a little bit better, you look like you have where you can get one-on-one with the corner. Flash of color makes him cut it back into the defense. This was really well designed. So we were complaining about the screen game earlier. With a pull to get the backers to get some trigger right there. No, it's not perfect, right? You missed right here. So it's not perfect. But I like the design. This is something they hadn't shown a ton. So I thought this was really good design, kind of a throwback-ish type screen here. If you get that block clean, it's a little bit better, but he's able to make that guy miss. But maybe I don't get chased down if I don't have to slow down to kind of avoid this dude. If I can just hit it 100 miles an hour, maybe this guy doesn't chase me down. It's an even bigger play, right? So, but really good play call. And so then it's 1st and 10 here right after that play call. USF does a pretty good job with this. You're going to go like post, it looks like. deep over, but sit almost like to try to capture this backside safety to maybe throw the post. He's going to be out in the flat here, and he's going to be kind of in the intermediate area there on like a sail, right? So seems like you're trying to get, typically when teams are running this, they're trying to hit their back fast in the flat or throw it behind them. So USF does a pretty good job with it. The safety kind of pins down on it. So right here, either drop it to ball, or probably chuck it out of bounds. Now, you do have a one-on-one down the field, but this is such a hard throw rolling that way, throwing it back here. I do want to show the all-22. It does look like the post slows down. It does look like the post doesn't run the whole time. So there's that part of it too. Because USF does a pretty good job on this one, right? They do go post over the top. So the safety is kind of playing down. So you do get the post over the top, which I like the idea of it. I think this would have been a really nice call and a really nice call to throw the post without the roll element. Or even if he half rolls, maybe that's the idea, half roll set up. Because this is holding him. They've got that to hold him, right? If he's pinning down on that. So then you do have your shot over the top here. But this might be one where it might be a half roll and you set up, but he's not set up. He tries to throw it on the run here. And right here, I feel like the post kind of slows down a little bit. Kind of right. Slow down. Oh, now I got to retrack it. And just that extra step, he beats me to it. But probably, again, 1st and 10. Right? Don't need to take the risk, probably. Chuck it out of bounds. A run called, and you have – so these are all kind of RPOs, things attached to the run game. So really good throw here, really good decision. Right? You like the numbers, get it on the perimeter, make them tackle. Good job here in terms of picking up most dangerous, I guess. Now, if you're scouting personnel, this guy's basically a defensive end. So, tough to say, hey, you need to know, but, they get packets on these guys, I'm sure. I'd just rather block the corner and let my guy race the defensive end. I think it's Rico Watson. He's a B-backer, good player, but, I'd probably pick Eugene Wilson to beat him in a race instead of kind of letting the corner come up and play downhill and make a play. Almost scored out of the tackle, but, if it's most dangerous, I probably would have taken the corner there. It's kind of an in-between one, so that it makes sense why you might pick the other guy. But if you know personnel of it, I'd definitely take the corner. Another great run by Jaden Ball. Just keep feeding that dude the football. He'll probably win you a lot of games. So we're getting a hold here, I believe, to pull this one back. So it looks like you're kind of going – I think you've got Haas almost again, right, where he's kind of go slot fade, releasing both these guys vertical, and then he's underneath. So to me, I think he's looking for the slot fade initially, right? Hard is exactly what the coverage is. But if I'm working here, his eyes are starting to come here. If I just rip this ball right now – as ball's coming underneath, you got kind of a natural rub happening here, a natural pick. Catch it. We just saw how he looks kind of running the football. Give him a chance in the open field. Not a bad decision to rip it down. But I think I could possibly get here, put the ball on him, let him go make a play. So now you're 1st and 20. This is probably the best throw of the night. Look at the feet. Really comfortable here. Nice base. And it's just a classic staple here, right? I think you're going to go post, sail, flat. One of their more base concepts, which maybe DJ needs some more base concepts to get back comfortable. This is a really well-thrown ball. high-low this guy. He stays low. Throw it over his head. Good route here by Trey Wilson to win. And you pick up a 1st and 20, right? So that's big. After penalty, you're 1st and 15 here. A good call by USF here. They're allowed to call plays too, right? So this isn't one I hadn't seen Florida run a ton, but I think they've run this concept before, usually with 2 tight ends, right? And it's not a bad – they're kind of doing this thing again where we're going to wheel and we're going to have a flat element. If USF doesn't have a blitz on here, you're in really good shape. Really well timed, really well called blitz by USF, because if I've got time, he's looking for that. He's going to scream down and take it. Then I got the wheel running behind him. USF does a good job. DJ does a good job getting it out of his hands, but good call by USF here on defense. You go mesh. They drop out underneath it. So you're going to go mesh with a spot over the ball. So I've seen some people say, let's run some air raid stuff. Well, here you go. So they're going to go corner here. Crosser, over the ball. Not sure they're telling them to read it. And they go rail route here as well. But usually, right, man, they're chasing. You like to throw these. Zone, a lot of times these will kind of pry open the zone for the guy over the ball. So right here, I think you're fine throwing this with just how far off they're playing. I think that's fine. But then you see how the zone kind of gets pried open by these, and you get the over the ball. That's all right. 2nd and 14, getting into decent 3rd and manageable. I think that's fine. A better ball gives them a better chance here. Over the ball is probably the easiest one. Get yourself into the 3rd and 7. And so, right, there's 2 things. So he's kind of – you got basically kind of what they ran in the red zone the other day. You kind of got a slot fade and a slant. And you've got a juke route here. I think that's fine if you want to look to that for a one-on-one for the slot fade, but you're also into the boundary here. So not as much field to work with. But right here, if I come off that and I just rip it to him, again, I got a rub going here. Rip it here. And then if I feel like he's opening to take that away, then come back there. There's Trey Wilson on a jerk route. He's getting held, but I got a chance to win, right? And if I throw that, maybe I get the flag called because the ref's not seeing it, right? So I end up taking off and getting smoked, where I think if I get the ball into my hand a little quicker, I've got some options here. Just rip it right now. Rip it to him, or if I don't like that, get my eyes back here, rip it to him. I did that earlier, right? That's the one he kind of stepped up and threw to Vernell Brown earlier. Same idea. All right, so we get the jump. We get the shift over. Run it back to the right. So run it back weak. Looked pretty good earlier. Linebacker beats me to the spot. All right, USF's got pretty good linebackers, but you're going to play a lot of good linebackers this year, right? Can't get beat to the spot. So going a little Hank kind of, but a little bit different over the ball here. Curl flat, just changing it up a little bit. You get a blitz there. They bail out over the ball. Good quick decision. Get upfield, get yourself in the 3rd and manageable. Then you jump off. You false start, so get yourself out of the 3rd and manageable. So this one here, you're going to go a rub. I thought he could have pushed it a little bit more, and you really want to run right to this guy's outside shoulder, then get vertical because you want to make him, right? If he wants to run over the top, he's dead. And if he tries to run over underneath, he's chasing. So I don't know if we need to push him more vertical to hold him, or if I got to be flatter here to kind of hold this and make him go. But the rub is not good enough, right? He doesn't have to go underneath. He just turns and runs flat, right? So the rub's not good enough. So I don't know if Trey needs to push this a little bit deeper to get him to pedal a little bit and get him to run into that, or if I need to come inside a little bit more, right, and make him either get underneath or get over the top. Either way, I'm going to get this ball out fast. But the rub is not good enough. And so earlier, you ran a similar rub and gained 7 yards. Here, you come back to a similar look on 3rd and 7. Don't pick it up. All right, then you get a great punt return. Again, this is your jet sweep guy. Get the ball in this dude's hands as much as possible. He's probably your best receiver right now in terms of explosiveness and can make a play. Get it in his hands. That's how it seems like he's playing. Get it in his hands more. Good run here on 1st down. Good blocking there on the perimeter by the tight ends. 2nd and 3. Got a chance to take the lead. Another good job on counter. Bouncing it outside. 1st down. And I think this is somewhat similar to what they end up trying to run on 3rd down later. I think they're trying to get this motion across to hold backers a little bit, hold them a little bit, or maybe get them to go. And then I can attack this thing downhill with the ability, if I do get play here, to bounce it back. Right? So they get good doubles. He just attacks it straight downhill. That's fine. 2nd and goal here. This is the bad feet stuff. So this is a really good play call. You want to get the crosser here. He's tracking the back pylon, the back corner. He's tracking the front line of the end zone. So the spacing on paper is fine. Now with the throw here and maybe being a little flat, but you're trying to get that rub, but I'm working the back pylon. I'm working the front here. This is a really clean pocket. I could just sit right here, put it on him, and he walks into the end zone probably. So I'm not understanding what's happening with the feet here. Like fade away, throw it up. This is almost the only possible way you couldn't make this throw to work. And that's the one you go with here, unfortunately. So, I think it's just the rust is still there. It's young guy playing like a young guy that hasn't had a ton of reps with these dudes at full speed in a while. Unfortunately, you're just having to do it in games. So I think he's only going to get better. But this is the footwork stuff here is weird. This is an easy bang, 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 set your feet, put it on this dude. He walks in the end zone. This is kind of a weird one. Just make the easy throw there. And then you got a nice RPO here. Bringing him across like this allows DJ to take longer, right? Because I don't have to worry about somebody screaming off the edge and killing me. I can kind of take longer in this read here. And then when he comes from depth, I know I've got that across face. Great footwork, great throw. Like this, when he just does everything really nicely in sequence, he's still awesome, right? Great throws, great velocity. It's just he's somewhat out of sorts at times, which is bizarre. So, but I think it's all rust. Like it's things that can get better. Good hard run again. Toss. This is why I think on paper, you've got a really good play here. Now, maybe you don't want a smaller receiver on his body, but, whatever. Pin him inside, at least work hard. Get him reached. Then you've got a hat there and an extra hat there. Right here, this looks like a pretty good play. I don't know why, and again, we've talked about it. Sometimes you got to give these guys some leeway, but this is good enough for me to stay in it, I think. And as he gets pushed wide, cut inside that, and now you're going to have a blocker there. I don't know. He sees a flash of color. He doesn't like it. He cuts it back. Ends up picking up a couple just because he's a dude. But I feel like he's starting to cut it back now. I think you just stay in it and just trust these guys to make their blocks. If I stay in it, I probably pick up a few more, right? So now you're in 3rd and 4. Back to kind of the spacing slant, same one we saw earlier on 3rd and 4, like same exact distance, pretty much the same setup. So these are the ones where I think there is definitely an element of predictability, right? I know people say, my kid can predict whatever the play call is. No, but on 3rd and 4s, 3rd and mediums, you're seeing a lot of these. So you may be able to do it then. All right, 1st and 10, though. I get a missed block up front. Duck your head a little bit. Hasn't been super clean up front the first 2 games, which is, with the veteran group, is somewhat concerning. All right, so USF is somewhat adjusted to the wheel. He's going to peel with the wheel and run with it. Okay. Right, so you're going to go post, wheel, flat, but you still got the crosser, right? So if I got somebody to peel with the wheel and then somebody takes the flat, well, then I still got the crosser, right? Because the hard run action is getting these guys up. These guys are playing with depth. So these intermediate crossing routes and all that kind of stuff should be good, right? He runs with the wheel. Okay, the wheel's dead. He runs with the flat. Okay, that's dead. But guess what? Perfect. That means this is wide open. And it is. Just got to make that throw. That's the throw we've seen him make. He can make it. Just got to make that throw. 2nd and 5. Little outside zone. Good hard run. Pick up the 1st down. 1st and 10 here. Got a drive going. Zone. Again, it's just not super clean up front. Cuts back. I wonder if this is a bust here. Because you see this. I wonder if you're supposed to get back there. I'm not sure. Because there's not really much for him to do on the front side of this thing, it looks like. Could be a bust. Could just be, hey, we're trying to actually seal this edge over here. And we get this flash across face, and now I got to cut it back. All right, so this is one. And you watch on initially, and it's like, what is going on here? So it certainly looks like we're base block here, working a double here. I'm assuming we should be working a double on the 3-tech here. Now, maybe he made a call, right? So it looks like I'm here. We're doubling here, probably up to somebody, right? I would think we're doubling here, up to the backer. We're here. We're here. He's here, right? And that's kind of the one with Vernell Brown earlier. That's kind of what it looked like. Now, your left guard or your right guard goes to the second level. So maybe he made a call where like, hey, you got this guy by yourself. I'm just going to go. I don't know. It ends up looking like wham because this dude is totally unblocked. Your tackle, instead of coming here, goes there. So, you're trying to figure out what this play call is. You're like, it looks like wham. They're not calling wham, I don't think. Right? It looks probably what they called earlier with Varnadore Brown. Because you can even see Wilson's kind of looking here. And then he kind of is like, oh, crap, adjust to this guy. But you're not going to ask him to block that dude, right? So miscommunication up front. Right. So I think hopefully he's being blocked here by your right tackle. I'm coming off the double for that. Wilson's coming here. And now I can kind of just bend back right into there. Or if I get a really good double up front, I can kind of press that double and stay underneath it, right? Well, this play is just dead because of a miscommunication up front. You get a pancake here, but I don't think that's the guy you're probably supposed to be blocking, right? And if it wasn't, something odd's happened. Now, this is like inexcusable, right? You got to burn a timeout. So you don't have 3 timeouts, but you have 3 timeouts that really can change how you play the end of the game. And instead of being at kind of USF's mercy, you have a chance, right? So then 1st and 10, we saw Lagway complete one of these into the boundary to Varnell Brown earlier, but it's just an attached throw off of a run game. Now it's second, or there's 2 minutes and 52 seconds left. 1st and 10. They've got 2 timeouts. You want to make them burn your timeouts if you can. So maybe this isn't the situation to throw this. And if you do, it's got to be on the money. You miss. So not only do you miss, it's 2nd and 10. You also stop the clock, right? So if you're going to make this decision, it's got to be a perfect throw. And then on top of it, you probably shouldn't make that decision, right? And you could say, hey, well, just don't give him the option. But it's just like an automatic tag on these run plays. You just got to trust your guy not to make that throw, right? So 2nd and 10, run it. Have your receiver going inside to the safety. Doesn't quite get him. Run plays kind of DOA. Loses backer across the top. So now it's 3rd and 8. This is probably the most, like said earlier, like when he throws with conviction and just in sequence, really good. Probably his best throw of the night here. 3rd and 8. You got just slot fade up top. And then you're going to go dig here, hitch, fade. And a really well thrown ball. And, if he makes that catch, probably win the football game, but you don't, clock stops, you lose the game. So, not a super well managed game. All the bad stuff that you're worried about all comes home to roost in one game. Yeah, so not the best effort for this team. It still seems like Lagway's just getting the rust off. He's a young guy. He'll get better, but he'll need to pretty quick because you've got a really tough schedule coming up. Thank you guys for watching this entire look at the Florida offense. If you could stomach it, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, leave a comment, help me game the YouTube algorithm here. Glad to be back doing these on YouTube again this year. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week watching the LSU game. Hope it's a little bit more fun than this